4 years after the end of the military conflict in the north, Sri Lanka is still on a journey to restore normalcy in the war-torn regions, unite the communities divided by the long years of ethnic conflict, and establish a lasting peace in the country. Caritas is a partner in this national journey. Having played a key role in the massive relief operations that sustained thousands at the end of the fighting, Caritas has ever since moved on to the rehabilitation, reconstruction, and reconciliation efforts that are crucial for nation building. Constructing houses, providing livelihoods, supporting the education of children, and healing the traumatized were naturally the top priorities, while healing and reconciliation initiatives were also of equal importance. The Caritas housing program, since the end of the military conflict in mid-2009, has so far seen the completion of nearly 1,250 permanent co-houses, while some more are still in progress. Though construction was initially carried out by contractors from around mid-2011, an owner-driven approach was adopted, where the task of building the house was entrusted to the beneficiary. This was a challenge which the beneficiaries gladly accepted. It added to their commitment and their sense of ownership. Many of them, in fact, made useful additions and improvements to the original house design by using their own resources. The criteria for selection of beneficiaries itself was so designed as to give priority to widows, women-headed families, and families with many children or disabled members. All these recipients now have a strong sense of security and are able to live in dignity. Accompanying the housing program was the Livelihood Support Scheme, which not only saw the restoration of lost assets such as fishing boats and nets, but also the creation of several self-help projects. These income generation activities definitely helped to bring stability into the lives of those who were returning after a long absence, with little hope of finding useful work to sustain their families. At the same time, the psychosocial care and support given to those who had been traumatized by the pain and brutality of war has created a space for them to regain their confidence and find new meaning in their lives. The empowerment of communities is a vital component in the roadmap to development, and Caritas is working closely with the Women Rural Development Societies and our self-help groups established not only in the north and east, but also in other parts of the country. Here, large numbers of women are coming together to work out new models of cooperation and self-reliance. The trainings provided by Caritas to WRDS members have strengthened the movement and increased the participation of women in the decision-making processes in their own communities. Attendance at meetings has improved as the women begin to feel a new sense of belonging to their groups. They are involved in community service projects and are operating savings and credit schemes. Northern development is not without its challenges, however. Many families have still not gone back to their own lands, and there is still no civilian government in many areas of the north. Yet, in recent times, there are signs that some lands and houses within military control will be released to the original owners, and the forthcoming election in the north has created new hope among the people that they can elect civilian representatives. Meanwhile, an equally urgent task which Caritas has addressed at different levels is the quest for social justice and sustainable peace. Healing and reconciliation among grassroots-level communities was attempted through bridge-building exercises where children, youth, and adults of Tamil and Sinhala communities first began to learn each other's languages before undertaking interdiocesan exposure visits to stay in the homes of their colleagues and forge relationships that would help break down invisible walls of mistrust and bitterness. The building of trust among Tamils and Sinhalese in this way, the sharing of experiences among themselves, and participation in joint activities while being together has resulted in cordiality and friendship which transcend the barriers of language, ethnicity, and religion. The attitudinal changes brought about by these interactions can pave the path to mutual respect and a deeper understanding of what unites us. On two recent occasions, nearly 500 people gathered together at common venues to further strengthen their bonds, exchange gifts, participate in healing services, and mourn for their dear loved ones who had perished. As a further attempt to bring about healing, Caritas organized remembrance services in several parts of the country to remember those who died on all sides during the entire period of the conflict. These services were attended by people belonging to all ethnic and religious groups. An expansive program on rights education from different perspectives, such as religion, human dignity, and community security, has been put in place so as to continue the Caritas commitment to human rights as a basis for social justice. At another level, Caritas facilitated a visit to South Africa by Catholic bishops to study the Truth and Reconciliation Commission model initiated in that country after long years of conflict. Platforms were also created for political and religious leaders to dialogue on vital issues of governance and inter-religious cooperation. Caritas also facilitated visits to the north by Catholic bishops to assess the prevailing situation there and to make appropriate recommendations to the government on the urgent issues faced by the people. These visits paved the way for the bishops to meet and interact closely with people at ground level and to know firsthand their fears, their frustrations, and their expectations. The clergy and religious leaders of the area, along with civil society leaders, also had the opportunity to meet the bishops and appraise them of the post-war realities. Groundwork was done by Caritas for a church delegation to make submissions to the government-appointed Lessons Learnt and Reconciliation Commission. And after the LLRC published its findings, Caritas arranged several awareness programs to stir the conscience of the people on its important recommendations for resolving the national question, achieving reconciliation, and bringing a sustainable peace to the country. And so, our accompaniment in the journey continues in the awareness and recognition that much more still remains to be done, that we cannot do everything by ourselves, and that each one of us only adds a brick to the architecture through our contributions. Caritas firmly believes in healing and reconciliation as the only way forward for Sri Lanka. In that belief, we remain open to work and cooperate with people from all walks of life and all levels of society, so that we may together play a positive role in the task of nation building.